Okay, so welcome to Ask MBA, guys. Now, in today's live session, we are going to learn reading comprehension. And guys, मुझे पता है कि आप कैट एग्जामिनेशन के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस में है, कैट एग्जामिनेशन की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं. सो आज का जो लाइव सेशन है, आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट how to approach RC questions, and we are going to solve two passages. You're going to get so many passages, you're going to get so much of practice. So make sure that you stay with me and I'm going to give you the approach. I'm going to keep it simple and let's get started. So let me share the screen with you guys. Okay. So we are on the same page. I've made the slides for you guys here. Okay, fair enough. Now, what is RC? Let's get started. Now, guys, we all know that you guys are going to get four passages, right? You guys are going to get four passages, and each passage got four questions. So all in together, you guys are going to get 16 questions. Now if you are someone who's planning to attempt all 16 questions, अगर तुम्हारे मन में ये है कि यार मैं 16 के 16 क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करूंगा, it is good. It is a good thought process. But then usually if you're going for all 16 questions, chances are that in maybe one or two passages you might goof up because of lack of time. Now we all know for all the sections, you guys got 40 minutes. So the problem is not just the question, but the timing. So it is all about selecting the right passage. So guys, when you will be in the examination, right? आपके पास four passages होंगे. So out of those four passages, you need to select those two or three passages, if all four even better, but timing बचना चाहिए because you got other eight questions also. So reading comprehension is all about selecting the right passage. तो आपके पास चार में से मैं कहता हूँ sweet spot is basically around three passages. But let's say if you are someone who's unable to solve three passages in 40 minutes and you are not sure about it, which I will explain you in this live, then you target two passages. दो passages तो मुझे target करने ही है. अगर मैंने सही passage choose कर लिए, that yes, these passages in which I'm going to invest my time. Trust me, guys, 90% काम आपका वहीं पे हो गया. So remember this point. It is all about selecting the right passage. But how to understand whether I'm selecting the right passage or not? So let me go ahead with that. Invest some time, few minutes to decide the right passage to attempt. Now you guys are going to say that, sir, already time कम है, 40 minute है. How you can be so stupid to tell me to invest some time in deciding which passage to attempt? Trust me, guys, I'm not stupid. I'm making sense. Rather than investing your time in a passage where you might not be able to get right, or rather than investing your time in a passage which you should have or could have avoided, after investing 5 or 6 minutes or maybe 2 or 3 minutes in that passage, you have realized that you have done something wrong, and in desperation you attempt few questions of that, and then you are taking negative -1 penalty. It's better you spend around 3 to 5 minutes, 3 से 5 मिनट चार पैसेजेस के लिए इन्वेस्ट करो, मतलब डिसाइड करने के लिए. सो इनिशियली आई एम गोइंग टू इन्वेस्ट 3 to 5 minutes इन डिसाइडिंग कि भाई मुझे कौन सा पैसेज टाइम अपना इन्वेस्ट करना है. ठीक है, फॉर एवरी स्टूडेंट इज डिफरेंट. हाउ यू विल बी able to understand that, it depends on your understanding of verbal, how comfortable you are with reading, how comfortable you are with certain topics. Some people are comfortable with finance topics, some people are comfortable with technical topics. So it is different for every student. So what I'm trying to say here is that make sure you invest 3 to 5 minutes to decide which passage you're going to attempt or in which passage you're going to invest your time, right? So this way, your accuracy is going to go higher and you already know what you're going to invest your time in and what you are going to avoid or skip. Moving on. Attempt the question if you are at least 80% sure. Keep it simple. Okay, now I know it's easier said than done, but when you're going to attempt the passage, I want you to stay calm. At Ask MBA, when I teach online live and when I teach offline, I make my students mentally groomed that they are not going to attempt a question if they are not 80% sure. If you're not 80% sure, you are not going to attempt the question, guys. You read the passage, you read the questions, you read the options, and now you are not sure what you're doing because the understanding isn't there. And now you are forcing your brain to do it. Firstly, I'll tell you how to avoid that situation altogether. But make sure that आप question तभी attempt करेंगे जब आप at least 80% sure होंगे. Or else you won't be attempting that question. Why? Because zero is greater than minus one, my mitter. मतलब guys, you attempted a passage because you wanted to, okay? And this happens usually with the students, with the student who is good in verbal. I am going to attempt all four passages or maybe three passages. Good. If you're attempting three or more, that's fine. But do not attempt a question just because or passage because you are good at verbal and you consider yourself great at verbal and usually you score good in verbal in the mocks. Make sure that you attempt a question only if you are 80% sure of the understanding. You can never be 100% sure in theory, guys. Okay? Mathematics, mein, you know whether your answer is right or wrong. In DILR also, you are pretty sure what is the answer in terms if you have attempted it correctly or not. But in verbal, even if you are sure everything is fine, you are still not 100%. And there is where it's a dark spot or a gray area, you can say in verbal. Why? Because no matter what you do, वहां पे गड़बड़ हो जाती है. So remember guys, zero is greater than minus one. So आप वो question attempt नहीं करेंगे जहां पे आप at least 80% sure नहीं है. For this same reason. In RC, you got negative marking. Moving on. Now the approach. Okay, as I said, with the approach, we will be solving the question. I'm going to keep things pretty simple. Usually we teach on the board, but of course it's RC. Verbal है, बातचीत होनी चाहिए. Of course I am there. I am teaching you live from Thane branch. And so first point is you're going to read the questions and their options. Only first two questions. It's clearly mentioned here. Guys, अगर मैं पहले questions पढ़ता हूँ फिर उसके बाद उसके ऑप्शंस पढ़ता हूँ टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द पैसेज इज अबाउट. प्लीज डू नॉट माइंड माई हैंड राइटिंग क्योंकि मैं माउस से लिख रहा हूँ बट स्टिल आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक द मोस्ट ऑफ what I can do right now here. So when you have read the questions and then the options, you understand what the passage is about. Let's say if the passage is about diamonds, my question is going to be on the diamond, and then the options are also going to be revolving around diamonds. Maybe the question is open-ended, like what is the author trying to imply? Then by this question, you are unable to understand the topic of the passage or what is mentioned in the passage, but then options will help you. So guys, time की सबसे बड़ी चीज है. अगर आप फर्स्ट दो क्वेश्चंस पढ़ते हैं ऑप्शंस के साथ then and there you understand whether you are going to invest your time in that passage in terms whether you're going to be comfortable after reading two questions and the options. I get that vibe in my heart whether I can attempt, what are my probability to get a decent score in terms of accuracy, attempt, time invest, and keeping my head calm. So, guys, after reading two questions and the options, आपको ये पता चल जाएगा. If your heart says go ahead with it, you can attempt that question or that passage. Not the question, but the passage. But first, I say go through all the passages. Once you have gone through all the passages, you know which passage you're going to invest your time in and how you're going to get to know that. First, read two questions and then the options. By doing this one simple tip, you'll be able to understand whether you are going to invest your time in that passage or not. And trust me, guys, use this approach in the next mock dummy test. Trust me, your scores are going to be getting better, or at least understanding will. Next point. When you are reading the passage, now let's say you have decided मैं passage number 2 करूंगा. There are four passages, 1, 2, 3, 4. You decided that yes, passage number 2, 3, 4, I'm going to attempt. I'm going to invest my time in. Why? Because you are comfortable with the topic discussed. You're understanding what the questions and options are talking about the passage, which I've mentioned already. Now, if you have joined in recently, guys, थोड़ा पीछे बैक करके देखना शुरू करो ताकि आपको पूरा अंडरस्टैंडिंग आ जाए. Guys, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to give you the approach with the questions, and I'm pretty sure after this live session, RC में चीजें काफी better होंगी. But then yes, guys, I can give you the approach, but I cannot make you good in reading and understanding in just one session. In fact, in many sessions, for that, you need to make sure that you read regularly. You try to understand what is the point of view or the approach of the author about the title or about the topic discussed in the passage. For that, guys, I've already given one live session on the basics of RC. You guys can go ahead with that also. Anyway, moving on. When you're reading the passage, go slow to understand and do not try to memorize the information. Now, guys, I know it is easier said than done. In fact, many students are doing this without even realizing it. More than 90% students. Why? This is the habit from school, college, we are forced to memorize the stuff. Nobody suggested us to read, understand, just simply memorize it. Ratta maar lo, kar lo, ho jayega. That's the wrong approach. So how are you going to do it? You guys are first going to read the passage and you will try to simplify in your head. You will try to understand whether it makes sense to you or not. Let's say I read it quickly because I wanted to save time and I didn't understand. So now I have to read it again. So rather than saving your time, you in fact ended up wasting your time. So how you're going to do that? You're going to make sure that whenever you're reading the passage, you read it slow. You take your time. Why? Because you have already decided two, three passages or whatever number of passages you are going to attempt. Guys, you are preparing for and you are टारगेटिंग परसेंटाइल यू आर नॉट टारगेटिंग परसेंटेज ठीक है आप परसेंटाइल के लिए जा रहे हो परसेंटाइल इज बेसिकली कंपैरिजन अगर आपका 30+ स्कोर आता है आउट ऑफ 72 24 into 3 72 यू आर डेफिनेटली अबव 90-95 परसेंटाइल के आसपास रहेगा इनफैक्ट अराउंड 95 परसेंटाइल सो टारगेट 30 का स्कोर उससे ज्यादा आया बेटर है उससे थोड़ा कम भी हो गया एटलीस्ट यू आर अबव 90 परसेंटाइल ओके सो now when you are reading the passage go slow to understand and do not try to memorize the information in fact do not force your head to memorize guys a human brain cannot memorize I'm sure you guys are going to say sir रट्टा मार के तो यहाँ तक पहुंच गया तभी तो कुछ याद नहीं है मेरे मेरे लाल या मेरे दोस्त यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड यू कैन नॉट फोर्स योर ब्रेन हम लोग ना कुछ रैंडम आर्टिकल पढ़ लेते हैं कुछ रैंडम चीज पढ़ लेते हैं रैंडम आर्टिकल न्यूज में देख लेते हैं कोई पैम्पलेट देख लेते हैं वी रिमेंबर दैट इन्फॉर्मेशन बिकॉज एंड वी ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड दैट इन्फॉर्मेशन दो वी नेवर फोर्स्ड आवर ब्रेन टू अंडरस्टैंड अगर मैं वही रैंडम आर्टिकल पे बोल दूं ना 4 क्वेश्चन है सॉल्व करो वी विल कॉम्प्लिकेटेड बिकॉज वी विल फोर्स आवर ब्रेन टू मेमोराइज द इन्फॉर्मेशन आई होप थोड़ा बहुत समझ में आपको आ रहा होगा यू नीड टू गो विद द फ्लो summarize it. Maybe you didn't understand a line. Maybe you didn't understand a paragraph. It's okay. Overall, मुझे idea समझ में आना चाहिए. Let me give you a small example. Whenever you watch a movie or whenever you read any novel, anything, you do not remember each and every dialogue. You do not remember each and every page, but you can give me the summary. If I ask you what the movie is about, if I ask you what the novel is about, you'll be able to give me some information. That is how you're going to approach the passage. Be slow, read slow, do not rush. Why? Because you have already decided that these are the passages I'm going to attempt. And if you be in rush, you end up reading it again. So you end up wasting your time rather than saving your time. ठीक है मुझे समझना है मुझे रट्टा नहीं मारना Moving on. Try to summarize the information in simplest way as per you. You need to create situations and whatever you have understand or whatever you have understood after reading one paragraph or few lines and try to link the information. Plus, तुम्हारे पास एक सबसे बड़ा रामबाण इलाज है और उसका नाम है options. Options will always help you to figure out what the right answer could be or what the passage is talking about. In fact, 30% understanding of the passage and 70% understanding of the options will get you 100% right answer. मतलब 30% अगर मुझे पैसेज ऊपर ऊपर समझ में आ जाए जिसको लोग स्किम कहते हैं जागन आरसी में या तो कोई लोग इसको स्कैन भी कहते हैं मतलब ऊपर ऊपर से पढ़ लिया स्किम यू स्किम द मिल्क यू गेट बटर हियर यू स्किम द पैसेज यू फोकस ऑन द मेन आइडिया एक होता है एक्टिव लिसनिंग यू can hear many voices because you cannot that's a natural process but what you're paying attention to maybe right now in your place traffic is there AC fan whatever is there but hopefully you're listening to my voice you're paying attention to what I'm speaking so that is how you will be doing in RC also you will be paying attention to active reading बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन रहेगी, मेन मुद्दा क्या है। कैट का एग्जामिनर हमेशा एक ऐसा पैसेज देगा कि वो एक चीज के ऊपर एग्जाम्पल दे रहा है, एक्सप्लेन दे रहा है, अगर एक्सप्लेनेशन दे रहा है, अगर आपको मेन मुद्दा समझ में आ गया, ट्रस्ट मी यू गॉट द आंसर्स, because you can always take the help of options. Okay, so try to summarize the information in the simplest way as per you, जो सही लगे. Now let's practice. Now let's practice. बहुत हो गया ज्ञान. Let's practice few questions. And let's start with easy question. Now this is one passage which I have taken from the basic books which we give to all our students. So let's try to solve this. So how are you going to do it? Remember what I said. Of course, here I'm not going to filter and decide whether this passage I'm going to attempt or not. Of course, we're going to attempt this passage. तो पहला मैं पहला क्वेश्चन पढ़ूंगा, ऑप्शंस पढ़ूंगा, फिर मैं सेकंड क्वेश्चन पढ़ूंगा और मैं ऑप्शंस पढ़ूंगा. लेट मी सॉल्व दिस विद यू. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट डू यू थिंक Thadagam is from the passage? What do you think Thadagam is from the passage? Okay, now you need to think. मतलब ये passage ना कोई Thadagam नाम की चीज के ऊपर है. Okay, festival celebrated in Coimbatore, a variety of Vadu Mangai mangoes, a word for monsoon in the local language, a variety of mango pickle. So maybe the passage is definitely about mango, pickle, Coimbatore, and this Thadagam is something which I really do not know. So why you are reading the question and the options? Because for two reasons. First is you will decide, are you going to attempt this passage or not? That's the first point. Second is what the passage is about. तो पहला question से कुछ आया idea. Second question, why do local markets get only a small portion of mango produce? Okay, so now this passage is maybe talking about mangoes, market, definitely in Coimbatore it's mentioned. After looking at the question and options, try to join the jigsaw puzzle. Matlab, try to understand what the passage could be about. Try to assume it correctly. And then by that assumption, you will understand, are you going to invest your time out of 40 minutes in that passage or not? So, पहला वाला option क्या है? Commercial pickle companies buy the mangoes in huge quantities. The mangoes get sold as quickly as 9 a.m. There are only three vendors in the local market. The sellers of the local market are just small vendors. What may happen now? I'm just giving you an approach, okay? So now the third question, what may happen if there is adequate rainfall? Now guys, ये पैसेज इस टाइप के पैसेज ना डेफिनेटली आपको स्नैप एग्जाम में आएंगे, छोटे वाले पैसेज अगर एक आधा आ गया एनमैट एग्जामिनेशन में, and definitely CT. If you are someone who's preparing for CT exam, guys, इस सेशन के बाद, इस अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बाद, ट्रस्ट मी, आपको सिर्फ प्रैक्टिस करनी है खुद से. और मे बी समवेयर यू गेट स्टक, यू कैन वॉच दिस वीडियो अगेन एंड यू आर सॉर्टेड. What may happen if there is adequate rainfall? Local vendors will get fewer mangoes. The Vadu Mangai season will be longer. Then longer that year, commercial pickle companies will buy in smaller quantities. Vendors will be able to sell quickly. The more popular Vadu Mangai mangoes are from Udu, Udumalpet, Coimbatore, Ramnagar, Tirumurti Hills. Which of the following best describes the Vadu Mangai mangoes? Big and juicy, tiny and tender, orange but raw, sour and sweet. मतलब ये पक्का कोई वडू महंगाई करके उसका कुछ है उसके प्रोडक्शन के ऊपर, whether how it's sold, where it is grown, what are the reasons of it being a commercial success by the local growers or not, ये पैसेज उसके ऊपर है. Now you have understood the stuff. Now when you're going to read the passage, simplify it. I'll do that for you also. Okay, understand. After reading few lines, take a small pause and try to figure out what is there. Maybe those initial few lines didn't make sense. Do not worry. Go on. Do not get stuck. In any MBA entrance exam, you can do anything, but not get stuck. But you cannot afford to get stuck. So, okay. Due to poor rainfall over the past few months, the Vadu Mangai season is expected to be short this year. There are two distinct varieties available in the vicinity of Coimbatore. The closest to Coimbatore and the one that appears in the market first is the Thadagam variety. तो भैया Thadagam जो है वो is the variety of Vadu Mangai. यानी कि ये तो पता चल रहा है कि due to poor rainfall over the past few months, the Vadu Mangai season is expected to be short. मतलब कि Vadu Mangai is a type of mango, you get it. There are two distinct varieties available. जैसे अपना यहाँ पे होता है ना महाराष्ट्र में, if you are from Mumbai or Maharashtra, रत्नागिरी. Now रत्नागिरी के हापुस भी होते हैं Now Hapus is grown in other parts of Maharashtra also nowadays. Even in other part of country, people are growing Hapus mangoes and they are selling it successfully. But then Ratnagiri Hapus got the limelight because from there it has started. Anyway, I'm just giving you an example, a reference, so that you guys can relate it to. If you love mangoes, because I do love mangoes. I think everybody loves mangoes apart from other fruits. So there are two distinct varieties available in vicinity of Coimbatore, the closest to Coimbatore, and the one that appears in the markets first is the Thadagam variety. मतलब वो कुछ बात चल रही, summarize it. The second and more popular variety is one from the Thirumurti Hills near the Udumalpet. Representatives from commercial pickle brands whisk these mangais away in big lots directly from the wholesalers. Only a small portion of the year's harvest trickles down to the local markets. तो यानी कि जो ये जो सेकंड एंड मोर पॉपुलर वैरायटीज फ्रॉम द तिरुमूर्ति हिल का जो है वो भाई नियर उडुमलपेट जो है वो मैंगोज होलसेलर ले लेते हैं फॉर pickles. Try to summarize it. Only a small portion, okay. Small vendors bring sacks full of these tiny tender mangoes to one particular street corner in Ramnagar during the season, the corner of Rajaji Road. I'm not paying attention to what information is in terms of memorizing it. मैं सिर्फ समझ रहा हूँ, रीड कर रहा हूँ. ऑप्शंस मेरे हेल्प करेंगे, ठीक है. We'll be going on to that. ये जो ऑप्शंस है ना मुझे आंसर लाने में हेल्प करेंगे, ठीक है. In Ramnagar during the season, and keep yourself calm, guys. The more calm you are, the better your chances are to score an MBA, any MBA entrance exam. If you're panicking, first you need to do is understand how to stay calm. Performance तभी better होगा. The corner of Rajaji Road and Satyamurti Road plays host to these vendors from as early as 7 a.m. every day. Depending on the quantity they have, the mangais are available around until around 11 a.m. If the vendors have a good day and their produce is sold quickly, they pack up and leave even as early as 9 a.m. That means they start selling by 7, but mostly by 11 a.m. It is definitely sold by 11 a.m. But if the demand is good, everything is good, it gets sold by 9 a.m. ठीक है, बता रहा है. तो इस बार भाई कम बरसात की वजह से वो आम का सीजन कम हो गया. उसकी दो वैरायटी है. एक लोग है जो ज्यादातर पिक्कल के लिए ले जाता है, थोड़ा बहुत लोकल मार्केट में आता है, और जो है जो भी है जगह बताई हुई है. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू पे अटेंशन टू रिमेंबर द नेम्स एंड व्हाट नॉट एंड द इंफॉर्मेशन बिकॉज मेरे पास ऑप्शंस हैं. ठीक है, रोटी कपड़ा मकान और ऑप्शंस. नाउ फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, व्हाट डू यू थिंक तड़गम is from the passage a festival celebrated in the Coimbatore? No, definitely not. A variety of Madhu Manga ye hai. But before we finalize the answer, let's read two other options. A word for monsoon in the local language? Nahi bhai. A variety of mango pickle? No. So the answer is B. Here the answer is B. यहाँ पे clearly mentioned था. But this is an easy passage for you to get started. I will be solving one more passage, which is that passage is going to be little challenging. And in future practice sessions of RC, we will be solving many challenging passages. Why do local markets get only a small portion of the mango produce? Why do local markets get only a small portion of the mango produce? Commercial pickle companies buy the mangoes in huge quantities. Yeah, okay, ये सही लग रहा है. The mangoes get sold as, नहीं भाई ये बात तो नहीं है. Reason पूछ रहा है. It's not telling by what happens, but what happens. There are only 3 vendors in the, ये तो mentioned भी नहीं है. The seller of the local market are just small vendors. Why do local market get in on? Because commercial pickle companies buy the mangoes in huge quantities. इसका आंसर A है जो यहाँ पे मुझे पढ़ के पता चलता है. The best possible option is A. ये B मेरा थोड़ा hard type लग रहा है, but of course you guys got it. What may happen if there is adequate rainfall? Local vendors will get fewer mangoes. No, definitely not. यहाँ पे mention due to poor rainfall over the last few months, the Vaduma, okay, the Vadu Mangai season will be longer that year. ठीक है, ये सही लग रहा है. कमर्शियल पिकल कंपनीज विल बाय इन स्मॉलर क्वांटिटी. ये इरेलेवेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन है, इसके ऊपर हम लोग कमेंट नहीं कर सकते. वेंडर्स विल बी एबल टू सेल क्विकली, ये भी नहीं. आंसर इसका बी होगा भाई. द वडू मंगे सीजन विल बी लॉन्गर. इस साल छोटा क्यों है? क्योंकि बारिश कम हुई है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, द मोर पॉपुलर वडू मंगाई मैंगोज आर फ्रॉम उडुमलपेट, तिरुमूर्ति हिल्स, कोयम्बतूर, रामनगर. अब यहाँ पे था द सेकंड एंड मोर पॉपुलर वैराइटीज इज वन फ्रॉम तिरुमूर्ति हिल्स नियर उदुमलपेट. अब यार सवाल ये आता है कि इसको मैं उदुमलपेट टिक करूं कि त्रिमूर्ति हिल्स टिक करूं. आर वन फ्रॉम तिरुमल नियर, इट्स नियर उदुमलपेट बट इट इज इन तिरुमूर्ति हिल्स. सो द आंसर इज सी. वो नियर है उदुमलपेट के, लेकिन वो है कहाँ? तिरुमूर्ति हिल्स रत्नागिरी से है. महाराष्ट्र में, तो महाराष्ट्र में है ठीक है, बट रत्नागिरी से है ना. I hope you guys are getting the reference. So the answer is here is C. Which of the following best describe the Badu Mangai? Big and juicy, tiny and tender, orange but raw, sour and sweet. I want you guys to figure out this answer on yourself and give the answer in the comment section box. I won't be sharing the answer now in this live because I want you guys to try this question on your own. I hope आप लोगों को approach समझ में आ रही होगी. Let's make it challenging. Now let's solve another passage, and this passage is going to be challenging, or going to be more challenging than the first one. And secondly, I've got this. If you guys want, you can pause the video wherever you want. Anyway, this is there. Now, this passage I have taken from the XAT exam. Now, of course, I am teaching students for not just CAT, but also for XAT and other entrance exam. So now this passage I have taken from the XAT exam. ये क्वेश्चन पेपर 2022 में आया है स्टूडेंट्स को. XAT के वर्बल सेक्शन में 11 to 13 में ये क्वेश्चन आया है. So now we will keep the approach same. Again, you guys do not have an option here to decide whether you're going to attempt the question or not, because here we are practicing. But how to decide what the topic is, what the passage is about, by focusing on the question and option. And there are only three questions anyway. So पहला question क्या है? According to the passage, who can be best categorized as public person? Okay, now this passage could be about public person, an online fraud victim who ran a campaign against online fraudsters, a local politician who filed RTI application to unearth financial scams by a village panchayat, a parent who organized protests against the random fee hike by a local school, an NGO employee who was tasked to lead a campaign against tribal and acquisition, a wildlife photographer who highlighted the plight of poverty stricken migrants by posting their pictures. Now they are talking about कौन सा बंदा भाई ज्यादा अच्छा है, public person कौन सा है, और ये options दिए हुए हैं. So that means definitely this passage is talking about how you can be a people person or a public person, and these might be the options given. One of them is going to be there, or maybe all of them is there, and out of those options or those scenarios, you will understand which one is the best one. Based on the passage, which of the following options best describes public action? Okay, acting for just a cause, regardless of what society thinks about it, acting in a way that is seen as acceptable to the society, acting in a way that is perceived to be antisocial, whatnot. Okay, so public action क्या है as per that? Okay, similar way में है ये question. Which of the following is the best reason for focusing on behavior instead of acting in public? One, focus is to survive and not to flourish. Our fear of being called out on our imperfect thoughts lead us to behave. To survive is not to distinguish ourselves from others and whatnot. Now, guys, I will give you some time. I will not speak. I will give you some time to go through the passage and simplify it in your own way. Then, of course, I will do it for you. I will read the passage, but then before that, I give you few moments or few minutes to read the passage, simplify it. First passage we did for you guys to understand. This also I'm going to do it. But first, now I want you guys to try to read it, simplify it, use options or somewhere, and try to get the answer. I'll give you 3 minutes for that. Okay? Try to do it. Try to do whatever you can. And after 3 minutes, we will discuss. Guys, I hope you guys can see it. If you guys want, you can enlarge the screen. Okay? Enlarge the screen, zoom it, you can read the passage. Okay, guys, let's try to do this. Okay, I hope you have understood. You tried. Let me try to solve it with you. What Aaron does for us is to remind us that our publicness is as important to our flourishing as our sociability and our privacy. She draws a distinction between what it means to act socially and what it means to act politically. Now, guys, sach baat bolu na, if I am a student and when I'm reading this, initially I didn't understand what it's making sense because they are talking about random stuff and they have started it randomly. But after reading this line, she draws a distinction between what it means to act socially and how to act politically. So, matlab, they are talking about a behavior of a person, whether the person is behaving socially or the person is behaving politically. The social realm for Aaron is both the context where all our basic survival needs are permitted to appear in public. Okay? And also the realm of behavior. One of the things she fears about modern societies is that society focused on how we behave and what we will permit for ourselves and others becomes the realm of conformism. Now, maybe you do not understand the meaning of conformism, or maybe you do not. It's okay. Chill. Because usually, is basically conformism. Basically, you confront someone that yes, this is the open stuff. This is worrying not just because we don't really get vibrant societies out of conformism. Conformism means you ask questions, you confront someone that why this, that, and sameness. But also, Aaron says, Aaron is some person, okay? Now, but also Aaron says because there is a risk that we think this is all there is to our living together. We lose ourselves in the task of managing behavior and forget that our true public task is to act and do distinguish ourselves in doing so. The risk, says Anand, is therefore that we confuse behavior with action. Okay, हमारा क्या आदत है and what are actions? So it's Arun is some person. I'm not sure whether it's he or she. So this person is talking about the human nature and behavior in society, whether the person does it or not. And I'm trying to simplify in my head. I'm not worrying about what I didn't understand. And trust me, some of the stuff even I didn't understand, because not because I cannot, it's just that my mind is taking some time and I need to understand what the book is about, what the article is about. When you purchase a novel, you already know what that novel is about, whether it's fiction, whether it's Japanese. Nowadays, kai sari Japanese authors and novels there. Good read, light read, whether it's murder mystery, romantic thriller, or whatnot. Here, you really do not know what is it about. Plus, the passage starts quite randomly. In examinations like CAT and XAT, this is the challenge. The passage starts randomly. Do not get worried. First, you read 2 to 3 lines. You didn't understand anything. Maybe from fourth, fifth line, you start understanding a bit. By the time you are at mid of the section or mid of the passage, above thing will make some sense. And by the end, at least 30% understanding is going to be there. Now you guys got options also. And then you will see how to do it. Let's understand this thing. That in modern, till here we read it, that in modern liberal societies, behavior replaces action as the foremost mode of human relationship. In a modern liberal society, behavior replaces action as the foremost mode of human relationship. Matlab, your behavior replaces action. Your behavior, what your habits are, or how you behave with people, and that's what the action that replaces the action. This confusion can happen in any area of our modern lives and institutions, secular or faith-based. None is immune. Now, whether it's you are a secular or a faith-based, secular means that you do not believe in anything. Faith means you believe in a certain faith. Erin wants to drive home the point that the healthy public life requires that we do not just see ourselves as social actors, but also as fully public person. That means you need to act socially as a social actor, but you need to also be a fully people person or a public person committed to judging and acting as member of common world. Now, this passage is giving me some idea. We want to inhabit and pass on. Erin tells us that public action is action in which we stand out, are individuated. Now, guys, I will give you some time again to think and read. Maybe now some idea is going to be there, some understanding is going to make sense. Now, let's solve the question. I hope you got some idea. Now, try to use options, guys. Try to use options. See whether options make sense to you or not. Okay. So, try to use options. First question is, according to the passage, who can be the best characterized as public person? ठीक है. पब्लिक पर्सन तो वो होना चाहिए ना जो अपने एक्ट भी रखे, दोनों चीजें बैलेंस रख के चले, वो चले, ये वो सीख जस्टिस करे, ओपन रहे, क्लेम्स करे, जब जो मेंशन्ड है. This passage is going to give clarity about the previous passage, and this understanding is going to give clarity about the first passage. All the passages of CAT and XAT are almost like this, right? In fact, to some of my students, I also recommend that start reading from the last passage. पहले last passage पढ़ो, फिर ऊपर से जाओ. Or maybe leave the last passage, then pick up a line after a full stop, from there in between, read from that point till the point you have read it already, and then go on to the first initial part. But then you should do it only if you find it sensible for you. Not all students find it sensible or feasible. Okay. So what the options are, check it. Now, how to use options? Use elimination method. Now, what is elimination method? As the name suggests, you're going to eliminate the options. But what you're going to eliminate? You're going to eliminate the wrong answer. And how you're going to get to know that? You will compare A to B, and then you will ask yourself which one is a better option. Maybe you are not getting any clue whether A is better than B or B is better than A. Do not worry. Read C. Now, after 3 options, maybe you get an idea which one is a better one and which one is not. If you feel after reading C, C is better, A and B is gone already. A, B, and are gone already. So that is known as elimination method. You read A, you read B, you compare them. Then you read C. Maybe after reading C, also it's not making sense, read D. After reading these, some of the option will you feel okay, this option is better than the other one. So other options are eliminated. And then that's how you reach closer to the answer. Come on, guys, try what the answer is. Option A says that an online fraud victim who ran a campaign against the online fraudster. Okay, now this is Now, you know what? This is not mentioned also, but why it's not mentioned? Because you need to understand whether this example is going to relate with the person of being a social action, a political action, or whatever action. A local politician, मुझे कुछ पल्ले नहीं पड़ रहा, ठीक है, ए नहीं समझ में आ रहा, कोई बात नहीं. Before we eliminate or select A, let's read B. A local politician who filed RT application to unearth financial scams by a village panchayat. ठीक है. अब यार A और B ना एक ही बात कर रहे हैं. They are, of course, एक ही बात मतलब एग्जाम्पल्स अलग है, लेकिन वो क्या कर रहा है कि you do something for the society. Something wrong has happened with someone or a group in the society, and you do something about it. तो यार ए और बी एक्चुअली एक ही बात कर रहे हैं. अब दो आंसर तो मेरे हो नहीं सकते, आंसर एक ही होगा. इसका मतलब मेरे भाई, ना आंसर ए है ना आंसर बी है. क्योंकि अगर ए आंसर है तो बी ने क्या पाप कर दिए, और बी है तो ए ने क्या पाप कर दिए. इट्स अबाउट द अंडरस्टैंडिंग. A parent who organized protests against the random fee hike. भाई वही वही वाली बात है. अब अगर ए बी में सेलेक्ट करता हूं तो सेम में भी वही सिंपल टाइप की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. An NGO employee who was tasked to lead a campaign against tribal land acquisition, a wildlife photographer who highlighted the plight of poverty-stricken migrant by posting their pictures. अब यार इन चारों में ना पांचों में डिफरेंस क्या. तुम बोलोगे सर ये डी ऑप्शन एन एनजीओ एम्प्लॉय हु वाज टास्क्ड, ठीक है, ये भी वही बोल रहा है और ई भी यही बोल रहा है. बट पता है फर्क क्या है. वाइल्ड लाइफ फोटोग्राफर का काम क्या है, वाइल्ड लाइफ फोटोग्राफी करना. बट यहाँ पे वो क्या कर रहा है, पॉवर्टी स्ट्रिकन माइग्रेंट्स की फोटो पोस्ट कर रहा है. ही इज नॉट वरिंग अबाउट हिज, यहाँ पे मेंशन है ना, बिहेवियर एंड सोशल एक्शन. उसका बिहेवियर है फोटोग्राफी करने का, लेकिन उससे सोशल एक्शन क्या किया हुआ है. मुझे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैं अच्छा शेफ हूं, ठीक है, लेकिन अब मैं शेफ तो अच्छा हूं, लेकिन मैंने मेरे होटल में कुछ और काम करना शुरू कर दिया. आई होप यू guys are getting my vibe. So here the answer is E, guys. I hope I'm making some sense to some of the students, and this is a challenging question. This is a ZAT question, exact ZAT question. This was asked in ZAT 2022. I also gave you the approach how I eliminated the options. Now in the 12th question, answer is A. I want you guys to figure out, ask yourself why A is the answer and why B is not, C is not, D is not, and E is not the answer. This self analysis will help you to understand why something is the right answer and why something is not. Focus always on why. क्यों भाई, reason, not on what. वैसे भी सारे के सारे क्वेश्चन, चाहे आपके वो कैट के हो, चाहे वो आपके जैट के हो, all those questions are going to revolve around why, not on. why पे revolve करेंगे, not on what. मैं what लिख के कैंसिल करना हूं, मुझे अच्छा लगेगा. जोक्स अपार्ट, पर ठीक है, वो बात सच है. why पे फोकस करेंगे. 13th का आंसर है ऑप्शन डी. ऑप्शन डी इज द आंसर. You ask yourself why option D is the answer. Guys, my job is to generate curiosity in your head. My job is to show you the path and make you walk on it by giving you an example how to walk on it. Because in examination, if you know how to approach the question, if you exercise mentally how to get the right answer of RC, then and only then you'll be able to get the nice percentile, not the explanation of what I'm going to do. Why? Because my explanation will give you some satisfaction today, but it won't help you to think and get the right answer yourself. For that, you need to justify to yourself that why A is the answer of 12 and why D is the answer of the 13th question. Now, again, we provide these books to our offline and online students if you are enrolled. Now, I want to highlight that we are going to give you live sessions on Tuesday, 7 p.m. It's going to be verbal. And then on Monday, not Monday, Tuesday ko 7 baje, the way today. And then on Thursday at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, quant and DLR sessions are going to be there. Of course, the live sessions are also going to be recorded and it's going to be stored on YouTube. You guys can always watch it later. If you are preparing on your own, or maybe if you're preparing from somewhere and you want one more faculty or another approach, or you want somebody else to train you to get a different vibe, you guys can be with us. You guys can share your number, or you can simply say hi. I will share the WhatsApp link, the WhatsApp group link in the description box of this live video, which you guys can join and be a part of live sessions. Okay. So make sure that you make the most of these free sessions. In case if you want to enroll for the online batch, yes, we do train students for online. Of course, the paid batch also goes on. It is on Saturday and Sunday weekends, because usually online batches are selected by students who are working somewhere or maybe involved in some other activity. You guys can be a part of it. Though they are going to be 2 days session, but these 2 days and the sessions conducted on these 2 days will make sure that you get a decent percentile in upcoming CAT and XAT exam. And of course, we will be giving you more. Now, let me stop sharing it with you. Okay. I hope this session made some sense to you. If you have any questions and any doubts, you guys can get in touch with us. Okay. You can share your comments in the comment section box. Stay blessed. And I hope this video is going to give you some clarity about RC. Thank you. And make sure that you join us again on Thursday, 9